As we have been surveying the box office landscape of 2025, now with the conclusion of the first half, we can all pretty much come to the same conclusion that, wow, it's been abysmal. Okay, no billion-dollar hits, which I know it's not exactly that uncommon to see that in years gone by. Most of the heavy hitters are going to be coming out, around this time. And well, here's the thing. On the next couple of weeks, depending on if Disney is going to keep it in theaters, Lilo and Stitch might cross over $1 billion. It looks like it could go in that direction. It's still making money, but yeah, the heavy competition is going to be coming in very shortly. But yeah, Avatar is going to be coming out in December, and it crossing $1 billion or crossing $2 billion because those movies make all the money and nobody can remember any of the plot points. But yes, that'll be coming out, and that'll be, the big holiday and first couple of months of 26. But that's still months away at this point in time. But as for the summer, like the one slam dunk hit that I thought was going to make all the money, that was going to be the king of the summer box office, Jurassic World Rebirth. My mistake. Not really shaping up like that. Wild to think about. And taking a look at the rest of the stuff, I mean, maybe Superman's going to be that hit that James Gunn thinks that it's going to be. But I really don't know, man. It's going to rely on word of mouth, and that's fine is not really going to end up pushing that over the edge. But we'll be able to assess the damage probably come August, late July, mid-August, and factor in Fantastic Four, which I don't think is going to do that well at all. Not going to have legs. I don't think it's going to be a good film. But even after that, like heading into the time when Mithrigan Tugin probably should have came out, okay? You got this, like the original film, right? Like it came out the beginning of 2023, okay? And that perfect lull time where you can put out your experimental stuff. Just, your stuff where you're not entirely sure where to put it, lower budget, fair, and hey, people just kind of want to get out and, just go out to the theater. If you want to check out a horror flick, something experimental, go for it. That's the perfect time to do that. Or in the lead up to spooky season, end of September into October, that would be the best time to release this. But no, they decided, you know what? Right at the tail end of June, heading into the busiest July that we have seen in months, and instead of just waiting until August, even if you wanted to put it, even if you wanted to have the summer release, just put it in, the space where there is legitimately nothing coming out in August. Because the Naked Gun reboot comes out the 1st of August, and then after that, there is very little of note for months leading up to the holidays in November and December. It is such a wild box office, and yeah, if things really don't take off, if one of those 3 heavy hitters in July don't really do anything, it's going to be a dire outlook for the rest of the year. Especially when you have sequels to movies like Mithrigan Tugin not taken off at all whatsoever, and it's kind of wild, right? Because the first movie I remember being somewhat of a hit, and people were very much talking about it, thinking that it was either creepy or finally a decent slasher film in the genre that is otherwise dead, like outside of Terrifier. Nothing really new in the horror genre has really taken off. Smile, but then Smile 2 kind of crashed and burned, I think. But the heavy hitter was definitely going to be Mithrigan. And instead of doing, the tried and tested slasher trope of just running back the same story, maybe a little bit more gory, maybe a little bit more brutal this time around, they decide to go the Terminator route, which is kind of wild to think about. You have your first film that is a big action flick, and then the second one is the villain from the first movie becomes the hero character to fight an even more aggressive AI robot. It's like, oh, okay, cool. That's a weird direction to take this franchise, but if that's what you want to do, it's a risk. It has worked before, but Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 are 2 of the best films of all time, full stop. And what exactly was Mithrigan back in the cut? Well, apparently number 2 ain't that much better. But hey, don't worry, this time around, okay, this is something that Arnie, okay, this is something that the T-800 couldn't bring to the screen, okay? There's many people that were ogling the T-800, the Terminator himself, all of those years back in the late 80s, early 90s, when he walked in completely nude into that biker bar at the beginning of T2 saying, give me your coat, give me your clothes. Now he's Russian all of a sudden. But I need your boots, your jacket, and your motorcycle. Arnie was definitely a symbol of sorts, but he wasn't an overt gay icon. But hey, That's one that Mithrigan has one up the original. Fictional killer robot Mithrigan declares being a gay icon is a default setting to Out magazine as Mithrigan 2 releases. Like, what the hell are we doing? I know it's Megan, but Mithrigan's so much funnier. The viral horror character Mithrigan is once again making headlines, this time not for her dance moves or murderous programming, but for being dubbed a gay icon in a staged feature by Out magazine. In promotional campaign time for the release of the sequel Mithrigan Tugan, the publication released a faux interview with Mithrigan in which the fictional robot appears to on the cover. Being a gay icon is my default setting, said the robot. To the Alphabet Mafia, I see you, I slay you. The only issue, yes, Mithrigan isn't real. That's also modeled after, what, like a 10-year-old girl? What exactly are you trying to say? A little bit creepy, but yeah, you know, that's kind of the speed of those folks, but okay, sure. And the article featured Mithrigan sending a message to fans who identify with a gender that differs from their birth. Your existence is not a debate. Oh my god, so this is really just delving down that Child's Play, that Chucky pipeline even more so, because yeah, there were definitely comparisons that were there, obviously, to the old Child's Play movies from back in the cut, but as that series kind of nosedived mostly in on and around the time where Chucky described himself that he's not a bigot because, you know, he might be a killer, but he's not a monster. It's like everybody just collectively rolled their eyes. It's like, bro, you should be killing indiscriminately, but no. You don't want to be perceived as an isterophobe. Fucking cringe. But no. Mithrigan is just going to go ahead and dive headfirst into that stuff. And, well, it's not exactly boring out all that well at the box office, okay? Because here's the thing. It's a lower budget movie, still $25 million, which I don't know about any of the CGI on Mithrigan herself, but 25 million does seem reasonable, especially when we're used to talking about films that cost 200, 300, 400 million dollars. So yeah, that doesn't seem all that bad. And yeah, you're getting a pretty wide release in 3,100 theaters. So this is pretty good. Okay, but you would have done a lot better if you would have released at the same time frame that you did back with the original back in early January. Yeah, you could have had those 3,500, 3,600, 3,700 theaters because there was nothing else, especially this year. Like, January was a graveyard, and then yeah, later this year leading into Halloween, which would have been so much better, you could have got more theaters. But would it really have worked out all that well? Because the domestic opening for the weekend, $10 million, as compared to the original Mithrigan that got $30 million. And as it sits right now, yeah, the worldwide box office is 10% of the original. Ooh! Play gay games, win gay prizes, apparently. But this isn't the only film that is out there playing very strange identity politic games in the year of our Lord 2025. That would also be Pixar's latest flop, Elio, which is, I think its failure is more prominent than the film itself, because prior to this thing coming out to the box office and absolutely dying a very, very quiet death, nobody heard anything about this. Like, Pixar kind of gave this the Ironheart treatment, where they weren't really pushing it at all whatsoever. It's kind of been in development hell for a minute, and then it just, you know, kind of leaked out into the theater after, you know, Disney had poisoned the well with live action remakes in the form of Snow White and then Lilo and Stitch, for two very different reasons. One, because it was just so absolutely abhorrent, and the other one is like, oh, okay, cool, we're not going to do anything original, it's just going to be nostalgia baiting, so here's something new. Oh yeah, probably not exactly great timing on that one, but still can make a brand new IP work, man, because you take a look. Sinners took off, relatively speaking. F1, however you want to categorize that, it's a new idea based on an existing brand, but the same thing can be said for, you know, Disney and Pixar here. Hey, look, it's a new Pixar movie. You know, you remember Pixar. Then you can key jangle in order to promote this movie, but apparently they decided, no, we'll just put it out there to just flop spectacularly. And yeah, its opening weekend was atrocious, man, and given the fact that this thing cost at least $150 million, it's an outright disaster. And here's the thing, this isn't going to be a second look gem. This is probably going to be something that eventually, when it flops out onto Disney Plus, it'll be, you know, the most watched thing, and people will just, you know, across social media, oh my god, I don't know why this movie got so much stick at the time, because it's actually great. And we see that trend time and time again. But no, now we're starting to get postmortems on this, and and it's very interesting, right? Because it could have been a hell of a lot worse. It really could have been. This could have been Turning Red. This could have been Elemental with its non-binary flame and water characters. It could have been even worse. And yeah, it ended up, falling afoul of some studio meddling, but it kind of saved it from being outside of just being a politically charged failure to just simply being a good old-fashioned, that shit sucks, nobody should go and watch it type failure, which really does play into what I'm constantly talking about in regards to why TV shows, why games, films, movies, same thing at this point in time, why things fail. It's not just because they're woke, okay? I think that is a stupid, lazy excuse in order to dismiss something. It's also like saying, oh, something's boring. It's like, no. That's your own personal taste, and the moment somebody goes, well, I wasn't bored by it, then where does your criticism go? No. You need to dig deep and go beyond level 1. The reason that woke movies fail is because they're bad. Like, poorly written, the characters suck, the world is atrocious, and yeah, the visuals look like indistinguishable slop from everything else that is out there. It's fundamentally broken from the ground up. The plot, from what I hear, okay, because I heard a couple of reviews on this one, it's something that makes no sense at all whatsoever, and then also, apparently the editor that was working on this absolutely cut it up like the face of a 50-year-old starlet trying to make a comeback. But inside Elio's catastrophic path, America Ferrara's exit, oh no, that was the final nail in the coffin. The fat chick from the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants not coming through to voice a character, oh no, that's what we need to lead with. Yeah. And then the director change, all right, and the erasure of queer themes. Oh, my themes. This is very much a kids movie. And this is why talking about a bunch of kids' movies is always important, because this is the type of shit that they're trying to sneak into the most foundational, fundamental entertainment that you can possibly consume. If you're not policing this stuff, they will continue to try to get away with it. Let's take a look. Those who worked at Pixar with its latest film release, Elio, was in production, were delighted by footage they saw roughly 2 years ago. Interesting, because what was Pixar putting out in on and around 2 years ago? Oh right, Elemental, and they were over the moon with that one, huh? Among the moments cited as favorites by those at the animation studio at the time included a sequence in which the titular boy collected trash on the beach and turned it into a homemade apparel that included a pink tank top. Ugh, the movie's team would refer to Elio showing this off to a hermit crap as his trashin' show. Bro, I want to die when I see that. I want to climb into a garbage can and then hopefully be tossed back into the ocean. What are we doing? Who does this appeal to? But if you bought a ticket for Elio and you don't remember seeing this, nobody did and nobody would have. But it's not just that you chose the wrong time to refill your soda. According to multiple insiders who spoke to The Hollywood Reporter, Elio was initially portrayed as a queer-coded character. Oh, fuck right off. Reflecting original director Adrian Molina's identity as an openly gay filmmaker. Bro, these self-inserts in Hollywood really need to stop. It's not even just like the gays or women this time around, okay? Like James Gunn obviously doing that with Superman. Like, what happened to a point in time where, you would have the likes of, C.S. Lewis, J.R.R. Tolkien, hell, even that fat hack George R.R. Martin. Like, they would just, they would have themes that were important to them, but they would write about those. They wouldn't have to put themselves into their work time and time again. We used to have creatives throughout all of entertainment that could write coherent stories that they didn't need to see themselves in order to bring to market. But no. Now we're very much in this time where if I can't identify with it, oh man, I just can't relate to it. That's why you have so many of these cardboard cutout protagonists that are just self-inserts and audience inserts. And that's why you cannot name one singular, unique, original character that has come out in a movie in the past 15, 20 years. Everything is derivative, adapted, or a sequel. I digress. Either way, this characterization gradually faded away throughout the production process as Elio became more masculine. Following feedback from leadership. Gone were not only such direct examples of his passion for environmentalism. What are we doing? And fashion. Okay. There's also a scene in Elio's bedroom which pictures suggesting a male crush. He's fucking 11, you creeps. What are we doing? Hints of the trash fashion remain in the released film of the boy wearing a cape decorated in discarded cutlery and soda can tabs. So apparently his parents, I'm sure single mom in this case, doesn't give a fuck that he's rolling around in trash. Like, what are we doing? Okay, although without any explanation for the unusual attire. But yeah, this is the most important part. Okay, so talking about a test screening in, summer of 2023, okay. Although viewers expressed how much they enjoyed the movie, they were also asked how many of them would see it in a theater, and not a single hand was raised, according to a source with knowledge of this event. Oh, so the internal freaks that were working at Pixar a couple years back when they were all systems go for this gay shit, yeah, they like this stuff, but the ticket-paying audience was like, oh, thanks for the free movie, I was bored out of my mind, and yeah, it was fine, but would I pay to see it? Fuck no, nor would I let my kid anywhere near this screen. Like, no. This is why we need to rework it. But apparently, yeah, in reworking this stuff, cutting out all the gay stuff, it didn't fix a goddamn thing, because this thing was fundamentally broken. And yes, after a year-long delay, the film arrived in theaters June 22nd and bombed with just $20.8 million domestically, the lowest opening frame at the box office in Pixar's history. You don't have to adjust for inflation on that one, okay? There's no funny math that needs to be done this time around. This shit was ass. It absolutely died a silent death. And on one hand, well, it's very much going to entrench Pixar at being a sequel and remake studio moving forward. But also, this might spurn Hollywood or other studios to, I don't know, put some effort into creating new and unique stories, not just putting self-inserts or gay themes over the top of it, because people don't like that. They wouldn't pay for it. And then when you just try to rip them out, root and stem, try to Frankenstein a movie, yeah, that shit isn't working on audiences anymore. So perhaps you need to have a vision. Perhaps you need to have maybe a little bit of creative control from the studios being exercised here, and perhaps we need a better class of creatives. I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking out my ass. Who knows? So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.